another edition of Sports and Bullshit with Jamal Murphy and Dan Weinert. He's putting his makeup on out there in Queens. He used to be from Brooklyn, but he sold out, moved to little known borough called Queens. And while I'm still here repping Brooklyn to the fullest. But anyway, obviously we got this OKC Golden State Game 6, biggest game that I can remember in years coming up. And Dan rooting very hard for OKC and Westbrook. He's, those are his two loves, I think, at this point in his life.
Why don't you be honest and say that I've been rooting for OKC for
I'm not,
years
now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're a complete bandwagon. I didn't even mean bandwagon at all. I just meant you're.
Yeah, no, you can't call me bandwagon at all. Invested. I've been rolling.
Yeah, you've been rolling.
I've been rolling with them.
You've been rolling. So Dan is, this guy Dan. I said Golden State. I picked Golden State at the outset. And every time OKC wins, he sends me like 100 memes disparaging Steph. But that's cool. So I'm sure he's got it. He needs this victory tonight, or else his whole world's gonna come crashing down. So, what's up, Dan? I know you got to be confident.
Excuse me, I'm just enjoying my Shack burger. You're so funny. No matter what happens, you just dig your heels in deeper. You just get more indignant, acting like, oh, I'm nervous. I need the win.
I'm not a Golden State fan. I just thought they would win.
They're not going to win tonight.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't count. I'm not counting them out. No way.
Are you? What's your pick?
Oh man, I'm gonna pick Golden State. I think part of that is because I picked them originally, but
yeah,
but
your brain. No. What you saw even in Game 5, I know what you saw even in Game 5 that they won. Everything's telling you they're shook, they're spent. OKC's more hungry. They're disrespected. They have a chip on their shoulder. However you want to put it, OKC is the better team right now.
Yeah.
And Golden State, they put everything in, and they almost didn't pull it off.
Well, my take, Game 5. I'll admit I wasn't.
Game 5.
I wasn't. Yeah, Game 5. I'll admit I wasn't blown away by Golden State's performance. They won, like you said. They held on. OKC played a pretty good game. They tried to get that win. Golden State won, but I was encouraged by Steph getting his confidence back. That was my thing. Definitely they were outplayed 3 and 4. There's no. You can't argue that. Way outplayed. But my argument is that that wasn't the real Golden State team. And even in Game 5, I didn't really see a great Golden State team. They're still turning the ball over, doing dumb shit, dropping passes out of bounds. So I still haven't really seen their A game. That's the only reason I'm hedging. But I just keep going back to history and knowing that they are, an all-time great team during the regular season. If you look at history, this doesn't happen. If you look back in history, a team like that should win this Game 6. So I'm going back and counting on that.
So when you look back in history, do you also look back on the 95% of teams that win up 3-1?
Right, and those 5%, the 5% that lose, Golden State would fit into that category of being able to come back down 3-1 if they're truly a great team.
So what you're saying is now you're a 5%er.
Yeah, I have to admit it. I'm a 5%.
Yeah, I got news for you. Ain't gonna happen. This series is a wrap. I have supreme confidence that OKC is gonna tonight.
Why? Explain why.
They've just been the better team throughout the series.
Right.
They've been dominant. Right? They've been dominant. They
lost 2 games.
Yeah, I know, but they Golden State, like you said, the defending champions, they have heart. They're not going to go out on their home court in 5 games after being the most successful regular season team in the history of the NBA.
So you see a blowout tonight or no?
Maybe.
Maybe. That's not,
Yeah, I think it might be. I think it might be a blowout. But
I sent you the game. You saw the spread?
Yeah, I love that. I gobbled that up. I think you were wrong on the spread on 5.
No. I was right.
I thought that someone said it was like 10 or something.
10 what?
10 points.
No, 7. It was what, for Golden State?
Yeah, no, for OKC, game 5.
5.
I'm thinking of game
4.
Yeah, because it was 7.5. Game
5.
5.
Yeah, for Golden State was a 7.5 point favorite, and they covered actually.
Right. I thought it was. I think I heard on Bill Simmons say it was bigger than that. That it was like 10 points.
Maybe prior. Maybe I gave it to you about a couple hours before the game, so maybe it came down.
That's a lot of movement from 10 to 7.5. But it happens.
They covered.
Moving on. I'll give Bill credit for this because he kind of said it on his podcast on Friday, and I totally agree. Golden State spent. They're spent on that going for that, not just regular season record, but last year too.
Spent.
I mean, the level of talent when you get to the Final Four in the NBA is so high that it is these small sort of mental motivating factors that can sometimes shift the balance. And I think the fact that Golden State has just been the mountain, sitting in the Iron Throne, if you will, since the beginning of last season. And I think it took a lot out of them to go for that record. And conversely, I think OKC, specifically Westbrook and Durant, the leaders, have been seething over all the love and fanfare for Golden State and specifically Steph Curry. Because I know both of them truly believe they're better than Steph Curry.
Well, tell them to go out there and win some MVPs and rings. You know, I mean, it's simple. That's all you have to do. If you feel like you're better than this guy, it's not like he doesn't deserve the props he's got. He has a ring, and he has 2 straight MVPs. Yeah, well, they have to complete it tonight. Doing. They have to complete it, man. And not only that, they have to win the whole thing like he did last year, right?
They will.
You're very sleeping on LeBron too. I mean, okay, they're just gonna run through LeBron. All right,
I'm definitely sleeping on LeBron.
I have friends of mine.
First of all,
let me say this.
Pause on your image. Hold on. Pause on your images of running through LeBron. Okay.
I don't even. That's over my head, but. I have people. I've heard other people, but I have friends of mine who say, you know, they don't think Durant could ever beat LeBron. It's like his son or something. They think like we get to the final, and if it's Cavs OKC, that's Durant's kryptonite is LeBron. Like he'll never be able to beat him.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a question. When the playoffs started, I think your top 3. How would you have ranked the top 3 teams in order, East or West, going into the playoffs? Like, what were your top 3 picks?
Oh, my top 3 were Golden State, San Antonio, Cleveland. Okay.
In order.
Right, Golden State, San Antonio, Cleveland.
Okay.
So and OKC. Well, I didn't think about them because they didn't do anything during the regular season.
All right. So, assuming OKC beats Golden State, they'll have beaten first and second teams.
Right.
So, why is it so hard to imagine them beating number 3?
I'm not saying it's hard to imagine, but it's not a given. You know what I'm saying? And in terms of like, you think they just run through Cleveland, or you think it'll be a real good series?
I think it'll be a good series. I think probably 6.
Well, just for the record, not that this means anything, because OKC is a different team in the playoffs than they were in the regular season, obviously. But
I'm glad you finally admit it.
What do you mean admit it? I'm just watching games. That's all. You know, I just watch games and give opinions. You know, that's all. That's all.
Go on.
But anyway, so OKC was 0-2 against LeBron, and Golden State was 2-0 against LeBron. Just throw that out there. No, but going back, I want to go back to what you said earlier with the whole narrative. Golden State is spent, I'm not really directing my exasperation towards you. It's towards like Bill Simmons and people like that. But they're spent. They went for the 73 games. That's not what. If anything, they were overconfident coming in, and OKC has proven to be better than they were in the regular season. So they didn't think they would be going up against the same team. They didn't think they would see this good of a defensive performance from OKC. Steph didn't envision getting bumped off the ball constantly, all through the game, because they didn't do that in the regular season. So I think to an extent they were caught off guard, and whether they can rebound from that and gain their confidence, we'll see tonight, because they still haven't completely done it. And like I said, I have confidence that a 73-win team, a team that was everybody considered great, and I watched it with my own eyes. They played great during the regular season. I still have confidence that they can show that. Now, it might, that might result, the way OKC's playing, that could result in a 1-point loss in Game 6, even if they do play well. But I'm interested to see. I don't think there's going to be a blowout tonight, especially with Russ and KD making snide comments about your boy Curry's defensive performance, which people broke down on Twitter. The whole narrative led by like a Reggie Miller who's retarded, on air, talking about Westbrook's locking down Steph Curry, and that's another Bill Simmons narrative that Russell Westbrook's just been too much to handle, and it's too much for Steph Curry. First of all, he's guarding him half the time, if that. Westbrook is guarding him half the time. It's like a team. It's a team effort throughout in terms of guarding Steph. So that's complete nonsense. And in fact, let me just say, I saw on Twitter, someone broke this down completely. They showed 55 total possessions. They showed every one of them where Steph was guarding Westbrook, and it was only 55 times, and he was 9 for 25, in those instances. So Westbrook is killing everybody, and probably he's killing other people more than he's killing Steph. And Westbrook is playing great. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but people want it to be Steph getting smashed by Westbrook, and it's not quite that if you really watch the game.
I should clarify that you did misrepresent Bill Simmons, because he doesn't say that that Westbrook is killing Steph. It's killing Steph guarding Russell. What he actually says is that it's wearing Steph down, having to run around with Russ. As you said, that he actually made a point. There's no advanced metric for having to play against Russell Westbrook. Like, in other words, just having to constantly be on alert, because the guy on the other side, the turbo button is never off. It's exhausting to be sort of alert and aware, and you ever play against a guy, another team who's just like everywhere. It goes beyond just the person guarding him. He just can wear the whole team down. So it's less about he can't hold him and more about he's wearing him down.
No, I hear you, and I'll give you that. And not only that, it's not like you can really key on him, because you have a better player, in my opinion, on the same team, and Kevin Durant, a 6'11" freak who can pretty much do everything also. But it's not like you can't key on Westbrook. You just can't.
Yeah, and that's probably why you're hedging your bets, because if I heard you correctly, you just said, well, it probably won't be a blowout, but Golden State might play a great game and lose by a point, but I'm not counting them out.
But I'm picking them. So.
Okay, well, I'm picking OKC, and with no qualifications. They're just, they're finally playing like a team with 2 of the top 5 best players in the world, maybe 2 of the top 3 best players in the world. So they're just too much. Too much.
3 of the best players. What do you mean?
No, maybe 2 of the 3. Yeah, of course. You don't think Steve Adams top 5?
Yeah, I was like, Ibaka?
Zion Waiters, baby, with the crossover.
Zion Waiters, who had 0 points. Yeah, he had 0 points in Game 5. But anyway, what we're also here to talk about today, the whole Westbrook, Steph Curry talk got us thinking about who are actually the top 10 best players in the NBA. So we created our own list, so we're going to bounce that off each other and you guys. So I'll let you start with number 10. Where you want to go? You want to go 10 down or 1 through 10?
Oh yeah, definitely 10 down.
So you go.
You start at 1. It's not
So
that interesting.
So you're giving me your 10, and then I give you my 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So number 10 for me, though he had a sort of an off season. Certainly, his team had an off season. Are you snapping this or something?
Yeah, I'm snapping you. Getting this on the record. You know what I mean?
All right. So number 10 for me is Anthony Davis, New Orleans Pelicans.
All right. So I give you my 10th guy.
Well, I mean, you can react to that.
And I mean, it's hard to argue, especially pure talent and pure basketball ability. He's not in my top 10, by the way, but he, in terms of pure ability and pure talent, he easily could be there. Even numbers, I guess he could be there. But the fact that he hasn't done anything in terms of doing anything in the playoffs, and he's injury prone, so I just can't put him above some other guys.
Well, he was almost not in my top 10 because he was
obviously
number 10.
right.
So,
obviously.
So there you go. All right, how about you? Who you got 10?
My 10th guy, you're gonna love this one, is the great Carmelo Anthony. And
God.
people want to disparage Carmelo because of his situation. It's not his fault that he's on a garbage team completely. His only fault is that he wanted to play in New York, and and make, I guess, and with a lesser chance at doing big things. But half the people in New York are doing that, probably including me and you. We're living in New York, paying higher fucking rent. We could be probably doing big things in others. We could probably not winning championships. We could probably do bigger things in North Carolina or South Carolina, but we refuse to do that. Okay, so I'm not holding that against him. And let me just give you his numbers. His numbers: he averaged 22 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists this year. A guy like Paul George had 23, 7, and 4. I don't know if Paul George is in your top 10. We'll see, but Melo is still nice, and he's coming off of an injury which people say takes a whole year to recover. So his numbers should be even better next year. Who's your number 9?
Hold on, don't you want to hear my reaction to
No,
Carmelo?
I want to skip right over that. But go ahead.
I'm not mad at Carmelo. I respect the fact that Carmelo wants to be in New York in spite of the Knicks sucking. I have the utmost respect in that, and he definitely had a better season last year as far as showing that he can be more than just a scorer. But he's a little long in the tooth. He can still fill up
22, 8, and 4. What do you want?
He can still fill up a stat sheet, but although you could make this argument against my number 10, I guess, too, Anthony Davis, but every guy on my list is a guy who's good enough for his team to be in the playoffs if there's no one else good on the team. Except maybe Anthony Davis, because obviously they didn't make the playoffs this year. But it's it's a lot harder in the West than it is in the East. In any case.
All right.
So for my number 9, it's actually Kristaps Porzingis. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be good, right?
That'd be great. Maybe in 2 years.
You do your 9, because I have to just remember. Just do your 9, because I want to make sure I got mine right.
Make sure you got yours right, man. My number 9 is my light-skinned brethren, Klay Thompson, and his numbers aren't great. Besides scoring, he's a 22, 4, and 2 guy. But he's just ridiculous in terms of. He's probably the top shooting guard, maybe. And he's just. His shooting ability is just ridiculous. Tall, plays great defense, and he's on. He was on the 73-win team, and other guys. Steph gets a lot of credit, but as we've seen, and I know this is not just about the playoffs, but the playoffs come into it a little bit here. This is not like an MVP vote. Like that third quarter he had in Game 4 at OKC, where he basically single-handedly, if Steph would have done anything, they might have had a chance to win that game. But Steph did nothing, and that was all Klay Thompson. I think I'm putting him number 9.
Well, I'll say this: I did not consider I mean, I probably considered for a half a second Carmelo for my 10, but I didn't really think about it. But Clay was almost number 10.
Okay.
But I didn't put him in my top 10 because I just feel like, first of all, if you want to talk about the regular season, I think probably Draymond was the second best player on the team. I mean, you can debate it, obviously.
Yeah. I don't agree with that.
But the thing about Clay is he can be great, but I feel like he can disappear too easily to be to be in the top 10. That like some games, some quarters, he's like JJ Redick.
No, come on, stop.
You know?
That's blasphemy. JJ Redick, who's a good player, but come on.
He's just not always on, and most of these other guys are. So that was my only criticism. But if we did a top 15, he would be in it for sure. If we did a top,
Clay thanks you for that.
Number 9, he's also a dog lover. So
there you go.
I like that. My number 9, actually, you just mentioned Paul George, Indiana Pacers. I think, before he broke his leg, he was probably in the top 5, or at least headed that way. But he was back this year, and, he was a force. I sort of see him like, granted, without having proven much yet, but he kind of, his game reminds me of a young, spry Dwayne Wade a little bit.
Except he's not all that young anymore,
What is he, like 26?
Got to be older than that. I would guess 28, 29. I'm not sure.
I don't think he's that old. I think he's like 26, maybe 27.
We'll look at it. We'll have our stat guy look that up. But
stat guy.
No, actually, he was like
So that's my number 9.
George was my number 11, so I can't argue. I'm not really going to argue with you. I just use his stat. He averaged 23, 7, and 4. Pretty much identical to Carmelo. 1 more point, 1 less rebound. And they actually made the playoffs, but they had a better coach and probably better players and a better GM so far. So let me go to my number 8. My number 8, and this is kind of low for him, but I just can't get over how bad the team was this year, and that's James Harden. You probably guessed that by that.
I guessed that when you said the bad team.
Right? Yeah.
The bad team. I got it.
Yeah, I love James Harden. No, I don't really love him. I don't even. I think his numbers are just too much to ignore. Like his numbers are ridiculous. I don't really love watching his game. Just aesthetically, I never thought his game was pretty. But he's a great player. He does everything. He averaged 29, 6, and 8, which is ridiculous.
Yep.
So the way he draws fouls, great player. So I got him number 8. And the only reason he's that low is because his team is horrible.
I just want to say that big bright red heart James Harden.
Really?
I love him.
Really?
I love watching his game.
You love him. You just love him because he's in the strip clubs and wilding out. You know what I mean?
I like that too. But I also love it. I mean, he brings it. But we'll talk about him again.
All right.
A little further down the road. For me, my number 8 guy is.
Okay.
Not flashy, but except for all his commercial ads, which are just so bad. Can this guy ever get a good commercial?
They're not bad.
Oh,
they're not bad.
I don't like the Hoopers, and I don't like the Pauls.
That's not just him.
I know, but I just don't. I'm not a fan. I like Harden's commercials. I like Blake's Kia commercials. But whatever. It's a different kind of humor, I guess. But. Right. I do respect what Chris Paul can do on the court. Blake gets hurt. They don't miss a beat. That's always been his MO. He is the essence of making those around him better or getting the most out of his teammates. Chris Paul is the essence of that expression. And even though he's also getting a little long in the tooth, he still got it done as of last year. I have a feeling he's got 1 or 2 more good years in him. So he's my number 8.
Yeah. I can't argue at all. He's actually my number 7. And, he's averaging 20 points, 4 rebounds, 10 assists. Like you said, very, very tough. In a lot of ways, he carried the Clippers, to their regular season record. and he got hurt the first game. Whatever it was, the first couple of games in the first round, so he didn't really get a chance to prove himself in the playoffs this year. Who knows what they might have done? If they would have had a chance to have a full roster out there. So no arguments there. He's my number 7. So who's your 7?
My number 7, dropping dimes, baby. Dame Dash. Dame Lillard.
Much better. He's much better. He's doing much better than Dame Dash is nowadays.
It's pretty outrageous, isn't it, that Dame Lillard didn't make the All-Star team?
Yeah.
I mean, even with Kobe, there's still. I mean, because for me, he's the 7th best player in the NBA. It definitely should have been room for him on the All-Star team.
I agree.
But he really had his coming out party after not making the All-Star team. I mean, he was great already, but he really went kind of berserk in the second half.
He did the same thing last year. Went berserk second half of the season last year. You're right. There's no way he should have. I mean, the All-Star game is a joke. And really, the All-NBA teams are a joke. I mean, we didn't even talk about that, but DeAndre Jordan made the first team. Is he in your top 10, by the way, DeAndre Jordan? So, I mean, it's a joke. And I can't argue with Dame Lillard. 25, 4, and 7 during the regular season, 27 and 6 in the postseason. I mean, nobody really thought that Portland. People were saying Portland might not make the playoffs because they lost Aldridge, they lost Batum, and he basically carried them. And I had a feeling, that they'd still be good, right? And I had a feeling they'd still be good because of him. He's a great player. He's my number 6. So, who's your 6?
My number 6. This is definitely going to be controversial, I think. I don't know what you'll say, but he finished second in the MVP voting. So I'm obviously not in tune with all the sports writers here, but that's where I would put Kawhi Leonard. He's a fabulous player, but I'm just not ready to call this guy like the best or second best or third best player in the NBA. There's a few guys in front of him. He is a great all-around player, but he doesn't pack enough offense to F with the dudes in front of him, to be completely honest with you. He just doesn't. And you saw it. It was exposed in the OKC series because he just couldn't put the team on his back offensively. Now, he might be the best all around, but I don't even think he is the best all around stat filler kind of guy, because you know who I think that would be? Draymond. Westbrook, obviously. But he's good. He's great. He's 6. That's great. But that's where I put him.
Yeah, and again, I
just feel like there's a hype train on Kawhi since last season.
Yeah, I think you're right, and there's a pattern here because he's actually my number 5. You keep basically you're rating guys one slot lower than me, but I agree. He's number 5. He averaged 21, 7, and 3. Great, pretty solid numbers. I mean, those aren't even mellow numbers, really, but much better defensive player, much younger. So he's higher. I think he is a great player. But getting to that hype situation, I agree with you, and I think a lot of it has to do with he's quiet, doesn't say much, and people love their black athletes to be like that. I mean, I hate to say it. They love that. He doesn't complain. He doesn't argue with the refs. He's you know what I mean? They love it. So that I'm gonna throw that out there.
And you see why I'm so different? Because I like my black athletes to be fly and fresh. Like a James Harden. Can you bring that prop over here, dear? But he and Kawhi, I don't understand what's up with his braids. They just look so gross, like his neighbor did them for him.
Hey, he's country, man. He's got to be country. I don't know. I'm not exactly. I know he's from California somewhere. It's pretty.
Kawhi, if you're listening, you need a new hair, dude. I'm just saying.
All right.
You need a new guy to do the braids.
I hear you. So yeah, he's my number 5. Who's your 5?
All right. Yeah, let's roll a little because I'm down to 20%. This sucks a lot of battery.
All right.
My number 5 is Harden.
Okay. All right. We talked about Harden.
he was still good enough to take a team with really nobody else on into that West Coast playoffs.
Yeah, great statistics. So it's hard to argue. My number,
and he does it every night. I mean, the ball is in his hand 40-50% of the time every night, and he brings it.
Right. My only thing with Harden is I think he's a little caught up in the trying to be the man off the court, really more so. And I think it translates to on-court stuff. And I know Dwight Howard probably isn't the greatest teammate, and you can't really blame anybody for not getting him to play hard because a lot of people had that problem. But I think a truly great player. I think if LeBron had Dwight Howard, he would get the most out of him. And
but there's another way to look at it too. Like most star players would probably get into like media attention and conflicts with Dwight, but Harden never ever gets caught up in that. You never heard of a Twitter battle or
His only Twitter battles are with like Khloe Kardashian. You know what I mean?
Right.
So my number 4, you're gonna love this. My number 4 is a guy named Russell Westbrook.
Only 4.
Yeah, he's number 4. I mean, it's tough out there. Some good players out here who have rings and MVPs and stuff like that. And we're talking about right now, but we're talking about as a whole, like your career up to now. And Westbrook's had especially this year, it's probably been his best year. 24, 8, and 10. Those are ridiculous. Those are like Harden type numbers too. Those are ridiculous numbers. But actually, he had a winning team. And obviously his playoff performance is upping that. He's averaging 26 and 11. His rebounds are down, but 26 and 11. That's impressive in the playoffs too. West, great player. I just feel like he relies almost solely on athleticism. His jump shot comes and goes. Even in a game, he'll throw bricks and air balls. His shooting percentage is never great. He's almost like an Iverson. But I liked Iverson better for whatever reason. And he's still racking up ridiculous amounts of turnovers. And I still need to see, like maybe it happens tonight, close game, game 6, everything on the line, him hitting big shots, like a big shot, like to give you the lead with like 5 seconds left, or a couple of those, down the stretch, which it probably won't happen because he has KD who can also do that. So he's number 4 for me. Who's your
the rings and things you sing about? Bring them out.
There you go. Bring out those rings
this year.
Well, then he might move up. He could move up if he gets a ring.
Let me go on the record. He will be the Finals MVP.
Wow.
You watch.
Come on,
I'm calling that.
Come on with this fanboy stuff. You're killing me.
Here's my number 4 right here.
Wow.
This is number 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you're shitting on KD. He's a top 3 guy, man. Top 3 guy. So that's what happens. That's what happens when you disrespect KD. Your whole thing malfunctions.
But why won't it readjust?
Exactly. Because you shitted on KD. That's why.
There we go. KD's number 4.
Okay. All right. I mean, you don't have to say much. He's my number 3. He's my number 3. 28, 8, and 5 this year. I mean, you can't argue with those at all. He's averaging 28 in the playoffs. Same deal. I mean, just can do it all. To me, he's the best player on that team. It's close enough. Like it's 3 and 4 to me. But I think he's the guy. Like if I'm coaching that team and I want to be confident that we're going to get something positive, I'm going to him. Period.
So that's your number 3?
He's my number 3. Who's your 3?
Hold on. I'll show you. Talk for a minute. Natalie.
All right. So
Where is he?
radio silence is never good for a podcast, video or otherwise. Yeah, he's tripping with that. Westbrook better than KD, but Westbrook has a lot of fans, man. A lot. Like he has a big fan club out here. You know what I mean? People love them some Westbrook. I don't know what it is. He's a rebel, but he's not a real rebel. He doesn't like say anything outlandish in the media. I guess his play is just, rebellious. He's just, all over the place. But to me, that's kind of a negative. I need him to be a little more under control and be able to, I want to be able to count on him to come through in like all big moments, or at least 80% of the big moments. I don't need you getting texts and crying and slamming on the floor and all that nonsense, And we'll see if he gets a ring and he's obviously, if they get a ring, he'd be instrumental in that. Then I'll give him his props.
Here's my number 3. Steph.
But
cute.
How that little,
he's sweet and cute and furry.
But he's the 3rd best player in the NBA. That little kitty cat. Damn, that's a talented kitty cat. That's what I was saying.
We're naming him Steph after Steph Curry.
I hope he's talented. That's all I gotta say.
His Steph is so cute and sweet.
I hope he does more than just walk around and sleep and cat food.
Problem is, the reason why Steph is number 3 is because, 3 is pretty damn good, but
yeah, I'll say.
I mean, you
have him better than KD.
He's a little too. Yeah, no, I struggled with that, but I felt I needed to be impartial and fair. And
not fair enough, my friend.
KD has it in him to be the best in the NBA, but he didn't show it to me this year.
And Westbrook did.
How do you know Westbrook is
no? I mean,
you
you just told me that 4 was too low. All right, my number. So you got Steph 3. Steph Curry is my number 2. My number 2 guy in the league, 2-time MVP, and both MVPs. I don't think you can argue with. It's not like even Steve Nash. You couldn't really argue with his MVPs.
Yeah, you could have. Steve Nash took an MVP from Iverson.
Yeah, but I don't remember people saying that at the time. To
you.
All right. I think that's more like retrospect.
Because Iverson was leading the NBA in assists and scoring 5 or 6 points more than Nash.
But what Steph has that Nash doesn't have is a ring, and the 73 games, and he averaged 30 game this year, and Iverson. Iverson was great, and Iverson has an MVP.
No, he doesn't have a ring though.
No, Iverson did not have a ring. You're right. He made the finals. Did Nash make the finals?
With
I don't think Nash made the finals. Right, so that separates him a little bit. But I got Steph number 2. Just all around great player. It's hard to see how he does it, but he did it. He did it at Davidson. Almost took Davidson to the Final Four. It's not like he came out of nowhere. He's been doing this for a long time. That's another reason why I feel like this Game 6 could be interesting, because he has come up big like his whole life. But who's your number 2?
My number, Bron. What? He's good. He's good.
Oh, he is. He's pretty good.
I think he's a really good player. He deserves to be there, man. Don't diss LeBron. That's not nice.
No, never. Why would I diss LeBron? Great player. He drives. Do it all.
He drives his Kia to the games. 100%, 1,000% chance.
You know what?
I think his commercials are better than Chris Paul's.
You know why I agree with you that LeBron is a great player? Because remember last year, like his whole team was like injured, and they still made the finals and made it and then like OKC, they didn't even make the playoffs. Like their whole team was hurt.
It's a difference. It shows you what a huge difference it is being in the East and the West.
Right.
Because the East is garbage.
I hear you.
There's only
but LeBron isn't. But LeBron isn't garbage. That has nothing to do with him. He's in the finals for the 6th straight time. That's why he's number 2 for you.
All right.
Well, and so, obviously, my number 1 is LeBron James. Come on, man. I don't even feel like I have to say anything about that. If you watch the game, know anything about the game, you have any historical context about the NBA, he's the best player in the league. I'm not arguing that he shouldn't have been the MVP. That Steph got the MVP this year. I think he deserved it, but that's a different question from who's the best player in the league. Because you're talking about history, just current standing, but also you go into the past and what just player and what he can do on the court. And he averaged this year was like a tame year for him. This was like a ho hum year for him. 25, 7, and 7. 24, 9, and 7 so far in the playoffs, and to me, he's been taking it easy. That's the one thing about the finals that I would be worried about for either of the West teams that come out, is that LeBron basically hasn't even had to turn it up yet. And we know he's capable of like going up at least 2 or 3 more notches if he has to. So, and I think he'll have the stamina to do it because he's been chilling the whole year because the East is whack, as you say, and even in the playoffs, like the stuff it's a joke. I don't know how they even let Toronto get 2 games from them. So LeBron is so rested. I'd be scared for whoever comes out in the West.
I feel the opposite way actually, because I feel like whoever comes out of the West is going to be conditioned to play at such a higher level in their last month, played at such a high level versus such a high level of competition. It's like swinging a couple of bats or having a donut on the bat when you're on deck.
Right.
They're gonna get up. It's gonna feel easy versus what the experience is gonna be like versus Cleveland, who hasn't had to face a team that is even close to them.
Right, but that won't affect LeBron. That might affect his teammates. But we know LeBron is used to, like, LeBron has played, he knows it's not going to shock LeBron any kind of competition. Maybe you're talking about Kyrie.
It's not about
Kyrie
it's
and
not
Love,
about
maybe.
shock.
No, I'm just saying, like, LeBron can step up to any, like, you would agree with that, right? You're not saying he's not prepared for, like.
It's not about you're misunderstanding me. It's about, like, conditioning. Like, it's like 2 guys are going to do a long distance race, and one of them has been practicing running 10 miles and one of them has been practicing running 5 miles or 6 miles.
Right, but do you think that'll affect LeBron?
I think it would affect anybody. It would affect whoever comes out of the West if they had that experience. It's just that you're playing at a higher level it almost holds you back to play against such whack competition because you're not pushed.
Yeah, and
to be as great as you can be.
I agree with you only about guys,
and it's hard to that switch.
I agree with you to the extent that the players you're talking about haven't ever had that experience. Like if you had that experience, if you run 10 miles the year previous or 5 years previous in a row, and then this year you only ran 5, I don't think it affects you. So I agree with you. It might affect Kyrie and Love and J.R. Smith, but I don't think it affects LeBron at all.
Swish. I still love him. He's in my personal top 5 favorite NBA players still.
All right, because you like that swag.
I do not love this dude.
You like that swag.
Yes, I do like that swag, and that's why at number 1 I got.
I don't know what that is. That's a negative to me. I think my son be doing that dance. My son does that dance. Huh?
The human turbo button.
Right.
The next big bang. Russell Westbrook. I just think he's the most dynamic, exciting, and athletic. Yeah, I mean his biggest problem is he's too skilled. Like Game 5, he came out and like the energy was just like, it's like
that's not being too skilled. That's too athletic.
No, I'm sorry. His power is so great that it can sometimes be difficult to hone like a young Jedi.
Well, yeah, we gotta hone it,
But why don't you come out and tell everybody how I picked him. First of all, I picked him for MVP 2 years. That didn't happen, but I did pick him for All-Star Game MVP 2 years in a row.
Right.
You did. Tell the people.
You did.
I really fell in love with his game. I mean, I originally was a Durant fan more than Westbrook. I'm still a huge Durant fan. I love them both. That's why it's great. It's been a really exciting playoffs, and I think it's going to go down as one of the same way that people like to kind of shit on Golden State's run last year, probably unfairly, but whatever. They're going to laud this playoff run as one of the greatest playoff runs in the history of any team sport.
If they complete it, right.
Right. I think people really, if you really watch the game, yeah, Durant is definitely, I mean, they're partners. And Durant's definitely a more dynamic scorer, and he's been unbelievable on defense in the playoffs. But Russ is the leader.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree.
That's
I think Durant's the clear leader. Even if you look at demeanor, like Durant is the one who scares me about Game 6 because I'm watching Durant's demeanor and he's not getting high, not getting low. Like he's so focused and serious.
I thought he was going to go off in Game 5.
That's the reason I'm hedging a little bit on Game 6 is Durant because I feel like he's so like, okay, guys, hey, relax. I think he keeps some even keel. Whereas Westbrook, if it was all about Westbrook, he's combustible. Like you never know what he's gonna do Game 6. He could get thrown out of the game. You never know. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's Durant. But hey, you're not. Let me say you're not alone. Westbrook has a lot, man. He has a big ass fan club, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I gotta get this one a Westbrook jersey.
Yeah, get her a Westbrook jersey. But you don't want her acting like Westbrook around the house, running around crazy. You know what I'm saying? You don't want that.
They already do.
There you go.
But I mean, I think we should discuss this further in future pod video cast because I think it's interesting the type of player that seems to bother you and appeal to me, and also vice versa. Because in the same way, you've always been a fan of LeBron's, or been against people hating on him, and I've sort of. I mean, I really don't hate him anymore. I never really hated him, but I haven't been as high on him as others. Although I guess I just picked him to be number 2. So some people would say I'm crazy.
Yeah, and I'm not a Westbrook hater. Like I wasn't one of those people that says he shoots too much or blah blah blah. Like he shouldn't be a point guard. I think he's fine, but we're talking about comparing him to I mean, I have him, like you said, I have him number 4. So obviously I think he's fucking great. It's just in comparison to 3 other guys who have championships already or MVP that Durant has. So I'm not saying he can't get there. Obviously he has the talent to do it.
I love what I appreciate probably more than anything in professional athletes is fearlessness.
Right.
And
he definitely has that. He has that.
Yeah, and I just love that. I love his. That's a guy. He reminds me of a guy that I played with in college who was on the team and then had a problem with the coach and then ended up playing on our intramural team. And I couldn't do anything with this guy as far as trying to compete with him. But I just remember he just like Westbrook, when he would drive, it would be your body would try to react, and his hand would already be smacking the backboard because he was just so physically gifted, almost
that's the thing too. I get, he's fearless as much as that exists. You know what I'm saying? But it's pretty easy to be fearless when you're the best athlete on the floor. You know what I'm saying? And he's not all that fearless sometimes taking jump shots. So I mean, I think we go a little overboard with that too. But anyway, it's been a good time.
Father of the Year.
Father of the Year. You got you know what I'm saying? Get a napkin out. That'd be great. It's been a good little video pod here. We'll see you guys at a later date. Probably in a couple of days we'll talk about what happened in Game 6 and maybe Game 7 if one happens. And then
big thank you to Poland Springs for that sponsorship check.
No question about that. And we'll be back. We'll see you guys later. Sports and Bullshit, Jamal and Dan bring you the Raw.